One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're in the team room. Aaron and I are here to talk to you. Well, that's the thing. We just said, well, we don't really know what we're doing. We already shifted. 2 seconds before record was, all right, well, we're going to do a members only. We had the intention of going in members only. And then we realized, like, hey, Trent's going to be available tomorrow to record. So let's just save a members only for him because he really enjoys those members only.
He really likes it. You take the leash off Trent and let that dog run. Oh, man, he's good.
That dog does hunt.
That dog does hunt.
I mean, why is he not here today, though? I mean, it sounds like he's living it up.
Let's talk about how Trent and I became friends no longer, and this is it. So Trent is one of those lurkers in the group chat. Like, he doesn't always engage. He comes in to say something sarcastic here and there. Like, anytime I see Trent's little three bubbles pop up, I'm like, this isn't going to be helpful to the conversation. That's basically what it is. So he talks, and we're like scheduling. This is like a couple weeks ago. We're scheduling on the group chat. And we're like, hey man, what about what was it, April 11th? Morning of April 12th, whatever else. And he's like, no, man, I'm going to the concert. And both of us were like, oh, cool. What concert? He's like, oh yeah, the guys from Nickelback. So we had Mike Kruger. That's how you say his name. Mike Kruger is the bassist, I believe, for Nickelback. His brother Chad Kruger is the lead singer. We've had Mike on. He's awesome. He's super bass Canadian, super great dude.
Yeah.
But he's been a friend. He's been a friend of the podcast ever since. They even wore One's Ready shirts to their sound checks and stuff. It's pretty cool. Like, those guys are day ones. So what's up? Shout out to Nickelback, biggest rock band in the world. So Trent drops this little gem, and then Peaches and I go, hey, Trent, you know what? I'm going to call Verizon, because I know that you had to have texted us. Like, I know that you would never just, not tell us you're going essentially backstage to go see Nickelback in a place that Jared and I could totally get to. I'm sure that you
matter of like 2 hours.
I'm sure that you meant to text us, Trent. This has to be a Verizon issue. It was not. Trent big timed this. He took his daughter. He went and saw Nickelback. He met all the dudes. He saw all the things. It was fantastic. And right now he's just like smoked. Him and his daughter just super tired from staying up late at a rock show. So we'll give him a pass.
Ruining her. He's really ruining her because, like,
there's nowhere to go but down.
Yeah.
Like who else are you going to see? People want to talk about Nickelback too, and it was something that was great. Mike talked about it when he's on the podcast, but people love to like hate Nickelback, right? And they're like, rock stars will be like, oh, the music's so easy. Bro, they're the biggest rock band in the world. They're bigger than Metallica. Like, they have sold more albums. Like, Nickelback has won immediate Hall of Fame. Immediate. And Mike was talking about, oh, if it's so easy, if it's so formulaic, if it's so simple, if we don't do anything, you do it. Go ahead. If it's so easy, great. We gave you the playbook.
How come you're not doing it?
How come you're not doing it? How come you're not the biggest rock band in the world? If you can sing along to every word. If I put a Nickelback song on right now, you might have a dumb face on, but you'd be like, this is how you remind me of what I really am. And then you can't help but get into it. It's great music. I don't care what it is. That comes on at a bar, everybody's singing along.
Yeah, and whether it's, I know that they took a turn, but society took a turn against them, making them a meme band. But you know what? It still doesn't negate the fact that they did all that great music, and they're an extremely big band. And now I know they're touring with Creed, or maybe Creed is touring with them. So
I think they're co-headlining, baby. Yeah, what a banger.
I heard Ross Patterson, Dan Holloway talking about like which band's actually bigger, and Ross Patterson's going all in on Creed because he's like, it's Creed. I'm like, Creed's great, but I think Nickelback's probably
Nickelback is objectively bigger. They are an international superstar rock band. Like, they can play arenas. Trent saw them in an arena last night. Now, I saw Creed down here on New Year's Eve. I saw Creed. It was a fantastic show. I'm seeing another Creed show this year. I'm going to go see him with Nickelback. Done. 3 Doors Down and 3 Days Grace are touring together too. They just put that one out. So 3 Doors Down and Creed have a tour this summer. And then We Were Young Fest, they're coming out and they're playing a bunch of stuff. I saw Creed in the Pearl Theater. Was it the Pearl down in MGM, I believe? Oh no, because the Pearl is over at Palms.
Here in Vegas?
Yeah. I saw him at the Coliseum in Caesars. Fantastic show. Wasn't Allegiant Stadium. It was a smaller venue in one of the casinos, right? Creed plays Allegiant Stadium, right? Or Nickelback plays Allegiant Stadium. The dudes are huge. Every single it's always fun to hate on things, to jump on the bandwagon. Like, if Nickelback was from Ohio, it would essentially break the internet, right? Like, because the memes, the Skibbity Ohio, everybody would be freaking talking about how stupid Nickelback is because they're from Ohio. I get it. It's fun to be cynical. Ain't tricking if you got it, homie. And Nickelback's got it.
Man, they do. There's no denying that. And so, taking your daughter or kid or whatever backstage to meet the biggest band in the world, like, you really are ruining her. Right?
Dude, there's nowhere to go but down.
Yeah.
Like, you started out too hot, Trent.
Yeah, and my kids have flown on planes before. Like, they haven't flown nearly as much as I have, or my wife, but supposed to take my daughter back on a senior trip back to the United Kingdom, and of course Donna's like, well, I fly the premium economy for Virgin Atlantic or whatever, right? Which is essentially like business class minor. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I always fly you back. She's like, yeah, but I'm gonna need to do that again whenever we all go over as a family. Like, okay. She goes, you should probably put our daughter up there too. Like,
oh man,
put her up there. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Come on.
It's just ruining her. I mean, she doesn't need all that right now. I mean, I got it. It's nice, but you do that. The thing is, if you have ever gotten upgraded, which I know you have, I know I have, whether it's business class, first class, as soon as you do, especially on a long haul flight over to the United Kingdom or Germany or something like that, and you experience that, you're like, dude, I can't go back.
This is way, just absolutely ruins you.
Yeah, and you're clawing as they're dragging you back to economy class. You're like, no, dude, like, I want that.
I remember the first time. So we were coming out here we do a fantasy football league. It's all operators, so it's 9 PJs and a crow, right? And we do an in-person draft every year. This year, I think we're doing Phoenix. So we pick a different city. We did it in Cleveland one year, and I'll put pictures of that up. But we got into this. We did it at Cleveland Browns Stadium. It was awesome. Everybody dressed up in tracksuits for the draft, which is our tradition. You have to be in a tracksuit when you draft, so it's badass. So everybody was dressed out, showing out on Cleveland Browns Stadium. We're going to Phoenix this year. But I remember coming back from Vegas one year. We did a live draft in Vegas. This had to be 2020, 21. I think 20 or 21, just before COVID or something. But I remember I bought a first class ticket. I was like, listen, this is the draft. I'm flying back home. I want to fly first class. That was it. I grew up poor, bro. Like, I didn't even get on a plane. I never flew on a plane until I got into the military. Or, I'm sorry, I took a plane flight when I was like 19. It was my first plane flight ever. I've never been on a plane before that. Hilarious. The thing that happened inside of my head is the second that my butt touched that. I assume it was duck feather, and there was like leather involved. And I sat down and I was like, oh no, this is it. Now I'm spending $700 more for a plane ticket on trips that I care about. When we went to Hawaii last year, for the baby moons are hilarious. It's just, women just made up another vacation you have to take them on because they're pregnant. That's what a baby moon is. You've never heard of a baby? Oh, trust me, I've never heard of these things either.
You know why? Because it's not a real thing.
And right, it's like Valentine's Day, or around Earth. That's not a real thing either. But Team Money, the innovation cell, will come to me and she'll go, hey, we're going, here's this new thing that they're doing is, it's baby moons and push presents and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, what, did you just invent this? She's like, no, I saw it on Instagram. So anyway, we went to Hawaii and we did the same thing. I was kind of looking at her. I was like, well, I mean, it is a vacation. Should we upgrade to first class? And she was like, oh, 100%. She's like, I'm pregnant. She was, and like, that was
I'm with child.
I'm with your child, Aaron. And I was just like, you know what? That's a great point. But I'll tell you what, you never go back. Then you start scrimping and saving, and you're like, wait, do I really need this stuff during the week? I got a flight coming up. I'm trying to go first class. It's just better.
And even if you don't want to dive all the way in the first class, business class is a nice compromise because it's a lot cheaper, but the amenity upgrade is incredible.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so much better. When I was drinking, you get free beer. I'd just be pounding. Like, I will tell you, I don't like to fly. flying makes me anxious. Flying on a helicopter, I'm okay with for some reason. I don't know, because I think I've just already like agreed that I'm gonna die on every single helicopter that I've ever went on in my entire life. So I've just accepted my fate. Nothing makes me more anxious than civilian flights, especially in today's environment, right? So I had a habit of probably over imbibing on flights. And I'm okay with saying that. Through the other side of it now that I don't drink. But I'll tell you what, there was when I was in business class one time, there was a flight attendant that was super cool. And just every time she went by, whether she thought I needed it or not, she had a beer for me. Cause like I did it to her twice. Like she gives me the beer, she finishes her service, she starts walking back, and I kind of like look at her and give her the head. And she gave me this one look, and she was like,
got you.
And then every single time she walked by, like I was going home, I was going off a trip and not on a trip. So I hit the airport, and I was like texting, the innovation selling the flight. I was like, hey, I'm going to Uber home from the airport. I'll pick the car up whenever, because I was in absolutely no shape to drive. Yeah, but it's because I hate flying. I don't like to fly.
Okay.
I've just done it a ton.
So if you're okay with helicopters, and I'm gonna ask this because we talked about this the other day at work. But since you don't like to fly, but you're okay with helicopters, what about civilian aviation with helicopters?
No, absolutely not. No. And you're like, yeah, what about these helicopter tours that are going on?
Yeah.
Funny story about that.
That's why I brought it up, because
my in-laws live here. So I have two brothers. I've told a bunch of people before, but hi, I'm Aaron. I was a PJ, and I'm the oldest of four boys that are in the military, in case you're following us for the first time here. Hi, thanks for following. I have two little brothers that are helicopter pilots. My brother, Danny, one of them retired. He's an FAA inspector now, oddly enough. And then my other brother, Danny, was a helicopter pilot, and then he transferred over to fixed wing. My brother Brian has flown me. He was the helicopter pilot while I was the jump master, and jumped out of the back of it during a training exercise. It was pretty sweet. We got all the cool pictures, and I'm sure my mom was very happy and proud. But a picture with me and my sweet parachute next to my brother Brian at the front of the helicopter before we took off. It was awesome. Good times. I text them and I go, hey guys, my in-laws live here in town, and for I think their anniversary or something, Innovation Cell, my wife, was like, what we should do? We should go on a helicopter tour. And I was like, hey guys, I even brought them up on signal call. I was like, hey guys, they want to do this. Both of them were like, absolutely not. Don't get in that thing. I said no right away. I was like, you want me to get into a civilian helicopter and fly over like the Hoover Dam? No, I'll get you guys. Whatever. She's like, babe, it'll be so nice. It'll be whatever. I'm like, no, I am not flying on I'm not paying to fly on a helicopter. Are you crazy?
So I guess I'm falling a different lane, because I've been on the Maverick helicopters for the Grand Canyon and a tour of the Strip twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're nice helicopters and that kind of stuff. But one of the guys, as the Hudson River helicopter thing that was so terrible happened, a couple of days ago.
The Jesus nut, dude. Got him.
Dude, that's crazy. People are like, dude, I never fly on civilian helicopters. There's no fucking way. Right. And I'm like, well, I've flown on CV-22s. So a lot.
Cursed.
Like a lot.
Cursed aircraft.
And fast roped out of them and jumped out of them. And I just so if I'm okay flying on that thing, that doesn't really have the best track record, and that should have never even been purchased by the U.S. military.
I think it's so ugly. I just don't even know. Like, who designed this?
I don't know, but hey, you know what? It created so many jobs, and a piece was made in all 50 states. So there we go.
Get out of here. Dumbest.
I'm like, some perspective. I'm okay flying on the civilian helicopters.
I can't. It's gradations, right? Like you're just like okay with one death because you've accepted a death in another airframe. I just can't do it. It's the same thing with, jump. People, will often ask. I'll have conversations with people, and they find out what I did, because this is going to come as a shocker to you. I don't open with "I was a PJ, I'm a hero, I'm a veteran" with every conversation that I have.
You don't say former PJ, Aaron Love, former PJ.
No. Hi, Aaron. Hi, civilian person in the pyro effect space. Did you know I was a very important special operator? Like, what a douchey way to start a conversation. But people kind of talk to me. They'll be like, "Oh, that's cool, man. So you must go out like jumping and climbing on the weekends and going diving and stuff." I'm like, absolutely not. absolutely, that sounds dangerous. I don't want to do that. I did that before. It was cool. And I'm certainly not paying for it now. Like to go to a civilian drop zone, rent chutes and lift tickets and all this other stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I do like, so I do enjoy jumping, right? But I
I
don't,
would go jump if somebody was like, hey, I miss jumping. I want to go rip off, like, especially down Skydive Las Vegas is
yeah.
just down the road here. You know, if somebody wanted to go rip off a couple free falls and, you know, I had to, you know, I could show my jump records and be like, here, I've already got my A license. I can go out. I'm safe and whatever else. I mean, I'd do it. I'd do it for the gram. You know what I mean? Throw on my full face helmet and get out and do some sky
I've done it
dancing.
for other people that like what's cool is, and I don't know now because I haven't been back to Skydive Las Vegas since the new ownership, but
Yeah, since I left.
yeah, but like I'd have family or friends come into town and they want to go do skydiving, they want to go jump to do a tandem, and it's like, yeah, they strap them up and I'm hanging on the back of the plane, and it's like, all right, we jump out, and then I'm jumping with somebody who would have
Right.
never got to do it before, so like that.
I
But
would do that.
I'm not going and spending 10 grand on a rig and then driving an hour down there,
Right.
jumping for a couple hours, and then driving back.
Right.
Like it's just no.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I would go. My friend yeah, right. My best friend in the world, YG. What's up, YG? He was talking the other day, and his wife was. We're all in a group chat, and she was like, "Hey, Aaron, you know, do you ever miss jumping?" Michael was talking about because he was a tandem master. I mean, Mike's awesome. He's got way more jumps than I am. He's way better at jumping than I am. And she was like, you know, Mike was kind of mentioning it. Do you guys want to go get a jump? And I was like, I would do it if Mike asked, but otherwise, nope. I was like, are you asking me if I want to do it or if I would do it with Mike? And she was like, no, if you would do it. I was like, yeah, I'd do it. I don't want to though. You won't find me. You'll never get the call like, hey guys, I got this jump day planned up. You want to come with? I'm like, that's not happening.
I'm not unless there's something like if it's a normal jump day, no. But if somebody is like, hey man, we're getting this, 747, and we're going to do a high altitude jump, I'm really like, dude,
I'm doing that. I'm doing that. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Or hey, there's a hot air balloon festival going on, and there's somebody who wants to jump, like that's willing to let us jump off the hot air balloon in a heartbeat. Like
they do it in Albuquerque. Albuquerque, they got a little DZ, and they'll take you right up in a little hot air balloon, and you're looking out, and you're like,
dude, it's so wild.
I'm gone, brother. Well, people don't get it too, but like the relative wind, and you feel it when you're jumping on helicopters too. Yeah. So the relative wind, like jumping out of hot air balloon is so fun because when you're jumping, you don't feel like you're falling. Like when you're at a C-130 at drop speed, you get out and there's a hill, right? Like because of physics and because of Newtonian law, you're going forward. When you jump out, there's relative airspeed. You're going 135 to 150 knots that way, right? So you feel like you jump out and you're immediately off to the races on the hill. And then by the time you flatten out and you basically come straight down belly to earth, you don't feel like you're falling. Not so on like a 47. Like I had to jump at a Hunter Army Airfield. We were jumping with the 160th. And we were like going through the jump brief, and we are going to do like a couple static line out of a 47 and then get a couple of free falls off and get their crew qualified and stuff for personnel drops. So it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm in. So we're kind of talking about it. And, we kind of look at the guys and we're like, hey, we're at sea level here. It's not really that hot out. How slow can you go for drop speed? And the pilot immediately looks at us. He's like, great question. I can get us almost to stall speed. I can go real slow. And we were like, do that. So we're going at like a minimum forward movement. Like they had enough headwind to keep the aircraft aloft and all this other stuff. So I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. Well, I kind of like jumped out like a normal exit would and immediately started falling. And I was like, oh no, like I'm rolling windows up. What did I do? The second one was way more fun because I was like, oh no, this is more like jump into a pool as opposed to jump off a ramp. So I'm going to have a little bit of fun with it. But a hot air balloon, you're not moving anywhere. No. You're just static. Like you jump, you fall into the abyss. And it's a feeling that you don't normally have when you're free fall jumping. And it is dope.
It's quiet.
It's quiet.
And unless they have the, the fire going or whatever the correct term is for that.
Yeah.
Like it's quiet.
Super quiet.
Yeah, you're definitely. I've never heard rolling up windows, but that's definitely
dude. Well, and the kids don't even know. They're like, "What do you mean?" Like, no. Back in the day, there were handles, and you would have to roll them down. Dave Chappelle tells a really funny bit about. He's talking about being in the hood and buying weed from a 10-year-old. Really funny, but he's talking about being in a limo. He's like, the limo driver starts taking me to this place. I see gun store, liquor store, gun store, liquor store. Are we in the ghetto? So he's sitting there and he sees a kid outside the window, and he was like, so I roll the window down, and he goes like this. And then he has to explain to people, it was an old limo, didn't have power windows. He had to roll the window down. But yeah, so sorry, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, you won't get that. But back in the day, before we had power windows were a big improvement in our lifetime. Like Peaches and I grew up with windows that you actually rolled down.
Well, and you kind of wanted that anyway, because the power windows, although they were nice, the actuators and the mechanics of it weren't that great. So if you had
The
to
motors
replace
were
one,
like
right?
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you had to replace one, it was super expensive. So
it was.
you wanted the hand crank.
You wanted, yeah, manual, analog.
As we, so that we don't get too far into showing that we're boomers, even though we're not boomers, we're actually technically millennials. But
I'm Gen X, yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, actually, you're Gen X. I'm right on the
You're in
cusp.
that,
It
there's that
depends on
weird, yeah.
depends on which one. So I'm a hybrid.
They actually call
Sure.
those Xennials. Or
Okay, I've never heard of that
yeah,
one.
yeah, the people that like bridge both generation, right? Like so Generation X truly, like they grew up and they were in past their formative years, kind of in that 90s to 2000 area. Usually it's like 1981 is where you call millennials, but there's this weird from like 1975 to 1985, that generation that was born there spans the two generations. So you grew up without social media, without a cell phone in your pocket, without all these communicative things, without the leaps in technology we made from 1990s on. By the way, we peaked in the 1990s. That was peak
Dude, the
America.
90s were, yeah, oh man, I'll see if I can find it. But the, yeah, because I have a lot of traits from both, even though I'm not a person that like, oh, I categorize myself, but whatever.
Right.
Anyway,
Well,
what I wanted to
yeah.
chat about real quick before we hop in, before I try and find that meme, is San Diego, June 21st,
Hell yeah.
22nd. We have an operator training summit coming up. You guys have been asking about it. Apparently, we can't do enough of these right now,
Right.
which is a shame because,
Good problem to have.
yeah, it's a good problem to have. The same weekend that we're doing the San Diego one is a ship out. So a lot of those folks are like, can you guys do one beforehand? And I'm like,
Oh,
and we talked about it, and we do have the availability. It's just I don't know. I don't know how many people would be able to make it, and they go, okay, San Diego versus, we'd probably do it here in Vegas.
you
Just,
probably have to do it in Vegas. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, if you guys are interested and you do, and you are like, yes, please, I'll come to the Vegas one, then we'll try and set one up. But what are they? What are these
Man,
operator training summits?
God, I love this so much. So the operator training summit, right? So first of all, let's talk about what it's not, right? Because that's an important place to start. It's not a smoke session. You're not going to be putting logs over your head. We're not going to put you in cold water. We're not going to make you do push-ups till you puke. There's going to be no fitness tests. There's going to be no number attached to your name sitting up on a whiteboard. There's going to be no timed runs. There's going to be no timed swims. There's none of it, right? And going all the way back, like we've been talking about doing this for years. Like this has been a thing that we've been talking about for years, but we just never found the right way to do it. So then when Chris Thomas approached us and was like, hey, I got this wacky idea. I want to make like the Avengers team, but I just want to give people prep. Because people, we are huge advocates of training specifically, training efficiently, and training correctly, right? That's what we care about. We want you guys to be not wasting your time. You have a finite amount of time to change. And when people like Taylor Starch get up and tell you exactly how much volume you actually need in a week, it blows people's minds. Every single time they're like, I'm training a 10th of what I need to actually get ready. And one of those numbers that we try to, if you have a number, that's really a problem statement. And the number that I'm talking about here is that during durability phase of special warfare assessment selection, you're running a marathon a day, 22 miles covered every single day for like 9 straight days. You were putting on your feet, right? So when you look at things like that, the problem statement exists. We're like, well, how do we prepare people for that? We can't do all the volume in 2 days. We can't get you there in 2 days, but you know what we can do? We can make you practice perfectly. We can give you one-on-one input from master instructors at all phases of the pipeline. Chris was a SWAS instructor and SWIC, and Trent was one of the guys that stood up SWIC when we still had SWIC and stood up that entire organization. Meanwhile, I was over at the other end of the pipeline at the finishing school, and I saw all the problems that we had when we were starting to move. We didn't lower standards. I'll be as gracious as I possibly can. When we started changing standards, when we started changing and moving away from the INDOC model and going towards the attribute-based selection model that we have now, there's naturally output from that, right? So I was at the other end of the pipeline and I was looking at these folks and going, hey, wait a second, there are these deficiencies now. And then further down the line, Jared, from the weapon school, you're seeing like operators. And at the end of your career, you started seeing people that have gone all the way through that process, all the way through the weapon school. And what we found is people are just training incorrectly. And it's because they don't have the basics. Back in the day with us at Indoc, there used to be a 2-week period where you'd go through what you call prep.
Mm-hmm.
And the prep team was straight up bare bones. Like you weren't getting smoked for it. The instructors were just there to instruct you and help you out. But you know what they focused on? The basics. How to push off a wall, how to wear a mask, how to properly clear a mask, how to properly swim. Like there were all of these things that were built into your day that were going to set you up for when you started the 10-week indoctrination course. Well, because so many things have changed, and this is no shot to anybody that's in the preparation game, there are just some things that are missed. And when people aren't training correctly, what that output leads to is they show up to special warfare assessment selection and they're like, dude, I've been training for 8 months. I do all this other stuff. And the instructor goes, you don't even know how to push off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know how to send correctly. You don't even know how to tread correctly. You're telling me you've been training this way for 8 months because you just wasted 8 months of your time. Well, necessity is the mother, or invention is the mother of necessity. And there's a need for these bare bones of really broken down stuff. And that's what we focus on in the OTS. All we're doing is super basic. Are you running? Do you even know what muscles you're using when you run? Do you know when to engage your hamstrings and when to engage your quads and when to are your joints mobile and flexible and do they have space? That's a big thing that Taylor hits on.
Yep.
For us, we talk about the attributes. You're going to be assessed on these attributes. Somebody should tell you what the attributes are, lay it out cleanly for you, and then tell you how to work on those attributes and how to project those attributes, because it increases your chances of getting picked up. So from physical training to mental training to mindset to all of these other topics that we hit with small group instruction, the only thing that we're doing is giving you the tools to train correctly so that every single training session that you do is done efficiently, is done correctly, and it's done in a way that's going to translate to success at the special warfare assessment selection course. And it's something that we all care about, right? When we tell people what the model is, because I've had friends reach out and be like, hey, what is this thing that you're doing? And I'll tell them straight up, like, listen, man, we're just taking these kids and we're breaking them down all the way to square one, and we're building them back up in the correct way. And then we're giving them input on their forms as a one-on-one instructor. And we're just trying to help them be better so they can train on their own and they know they're doing it the right way. The second that I explain it, every single person that's called me is like, bro, hit me up. I want to be involved in that.
Yep.
I want to be involved. And again, again, this is not a shot to any organization that's out there doing other things, right? You need those reach back moments. You might need to go to a SOCOM Athlete Hell Day and get absolutely smoked for 2 days and see if you can make it and see if you can end up on that final roster. I support that, and I urge you to go try one, because that's a reach back moment. That's time in your head that you can go, no, I've done a really hard thing and I can do a really hard thing in the future now because I have this behind me. I know how I'll act in that. That's valuable, right? This is not or a Go Ruck or a High Rocks race or a Spartan race or any of these things. They're great, but they're great in their own little lane.
I didn't quit, and I made it on the other end.
Perfect. Great. That is badass. You should go do that. There's a ton of organizations that are doing that. We just didn't want to do that, right? We wanted to give you something different. And I think that's why it's resonating with people. We had, 39, 35 to 39 on the first one. We actually had to cap it at 40 students the last time. And that was for a flyaway event. This San Diego is filling up and people are clamoring for another one because, dude, come to the Midwest, come to the East Coast, come to Florida. Okay, man, if you guys want it and we're providing value, man, we're there because we care about it. And I think that's the thing too, is that people will get this, it's the internet. People think they know us, right? Because they hear us talk to them 10 times a week and they hear our jokes with each other and they're like, oh, I know this guy. One of the biggest compliments what's that?
It is a weird thing.
It's weird. Yeah. But I mean, you do the same.
Yeah.
Like, how many times in your head have you been like, dude, if I just sat down with Joe Rogan, we'd vibe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know Joe Rogan. No, you don't. You hear the guy talk on the internet. You see their posts on IG and you think you know the heart and the intent and the mind of this man. You don't. We all do it, right? Because you connect with it. He says something that you agree with, and then pretty soon you're agreeing with more stuff, and then pretty soon you're like, God dang, this guy's great. This guy's awesome.
Having a conversation in your car with somebody that you've never met and you're not actually talking to.
Hell yeah, Dave. Good job, Dave Smith. You're a good guy, and Douglas Murray, you're a bad guy. That podcast is crazy too. You should listen to that. It's
I
great.
need to listen to it.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. I'm a Dave Smith fan. I love Dave Smith, and him and Douglas Murray just go at it. Douglas Murray was not happy. It was fun. But people think that they know you, and then probably one of the biggest compliments that I got, and this is hilarious because Aaron loved Hate Club in the chat. He's going to completely understand this one. People literally said to me, like 20 people, it's not just one, like, "Oh wow, you're not a dick. Wow, you really care about us graduating and stuff." And I'm like, well, thanks. I guess the most backhanded everybody's like, "Oh, Peaches, I love you. You're exactly like on the podcast." And then they're like, "Oh, Aaron, you're not nearly the piece of shit that everybody's made you out to be."
So
Thanks.
it's a compliment, but also a slap in the face. Whatever.
I guess thank you. Don't tell anybody. I have a carefully crafted online persona at this point.
The funniest part about it is that when I sat down and before we started recording with the three dudes that had come on, and then obviously I had a phone call with one of the guys that gave feedback on.
And by the way, thank you. We'll take your feedback. And we took your feedback and we changed the next course. And we're always going to, we have a very well-worn, we've done it since the very beginning because we all require and really need feedback. And if you give us feedback, if you're like, "Hey, here's my feedback from the event," dude, we took it, we changed the course. We took not all of your feedback because some stuff we can't help. Like, unfortunately, new people to the chat can't see a pinned message. So we have to spam the chat with all the information as opposed to, doing whatever. But I'll tell you what, we'll take your feedback. It's awesome. And we'll change it. And we will 100% figure it out and make it better. That's what we're doing for this next one. So,
yeah. And the funny part about it is they were like, "Yeah, it was, we got a lot of time with Taylor. We got a lot of time with Chris. Obviously time with you." The two people that I wish we would have had more time with were you and Trent. And the one dude was like, "Yeah, I was actually, because for listeners, the Aaron, we broke off into two different kind of groups. We took off and we split them into kind of one of experienced group, which Chris and Trent kind of instructed, and then you took a smaller group, which was less experienced. And there were dudes in the experience group that were looking over there, seeing everything that you were doing with your small group and going like, "Man, I kind of wish I was over there."
I don't know I don't know how true that is. Shout out to my low skill group.
True.
Those guys crushed it.
Yeah.
Those guys crushed it. And that's another reason why we do this thing, man. Like I have a social battery. I am an introverted extrovert, truly. Like, I have a limited amount of time, and all my real friends know this. Like, I have a limited amount of time that I can hang out around people. I seem gregarious, I seem outgoing, but I'm giving energy away. Like, and my battery is just ticking down. My wife will look at me. We're going to a social event tonight. My wife is just looking at me. She's like, "How's that social battery doing? It's got to be full. Like, you're going to have to shake hands and sell and plug stuff and schmooze." Like, graduations to me were always the worst days for me. And it's not because, man, it's seeing everybody's family and meeting people's parents for students that and you have these feelings about this student because they were a student. You were with them for 6 months and you saw them train and grow, and then you get to meet their parents. But man, like, I would give the family day brief at the schoolhouse, and then people, large question and answer period, and crazy questions, by the way. Like, people, like, this is during like 2000. I was at the schoolhouse from 2015 to 2019. So it's like a bunch of crazy stuff going on in the country. A bunch of people had crazy questions. What war was kicking off? We were still in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and Yemen and Kenya and all these other places, that their sons were going to go to. And they would ask these questions, and it was always wild. But by the end of those days of me just like being nice and shaking hands and seeing people, and then you roll in, like, that is a very popular event for like, all local pararescuemen will come to those graduations. Like, you have, no kidding, legends that'll be watching you graduate as a student, because we always open the doors and bring everybody into the schoolhouse and let them see it. And people will come in from out of town, but you have that extra contingent where then people are talking to me about, "Oh, well, back in my day, and oh, look at all this gear and stuff." By the end of that day, my social battery was like blinking red. Like, I was just done. Right. So it's tough. The operator training summits are not like that for me at all. Like, to watch these folks go from, not understanding how to swim or even wear a mask correctly to doing an underwater perfectly in 7 strokes and not being smoked by the time they get back to the wall. bro, that fills my battery up.
Yep.
Like when I see that, like I no kidding, getting like a little goosebump chill, whatever, because I can think about seeing them succeed and seeing them be better versions of themselves when they lead. Like that's it. Like that's being of service. That's giving something of myself to someone else. And we talk about it all the time. Like if you're feeling like you're losing motivation or you're feeling drive, go through the floor, go serve somebody else. Go,
Yes.
go, go give your energy to somebody else for a day and watch that come back. And you'll be like, wait a second, this is what I'm supposed to do.
I'm
I'm
back.
called to be of service.
Yeah.
But that's what it is for us, man. Like
Mhm.
100%. We get back to that Airbnb. Jared, tell
The
them about the dollhouse, please.
So the dollhouse is I know I'm not the only one because we were joking about it, but sometimes you get fooled by Airbnb because they are almost like real estate pictures. If you go on the Zillow and you see this house and they're incredible pictures because they're professionally done, the lighting's correct and everything like that.
Taken
And,
from a good camera lens, like at 0.5, so it looks huge on you. So you're like, oh, this is great.
and so and not knowing the Orlando area very well.
Right.
So there was that aspect too. So I tried to find us an Airbnb that was between the campground and the pool to alleviate too much driving and that kind of stuff. And so, I went on Airbnb, and I'm also not trying to find a $1,500, $2,000
Right.
a night
It's just
place.
it was the four of us bros.
Yeah,
That's it. You just need enough room. Is there enough floor for dudes to like lay down some
exactly.
cushions and go to sleep on? That's the requirement for what we had, right? Classic TDY stuff. You're just looking for a team
Right.
house.
So, I got a house for was it 2 nights, 3 nights, whatever it was.
2 nights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for half the price of everything else, right? And I totally accepted. It was 3 bedroom, so I was like, all right, Aaron, Trent, Taylor, and then they've got a couch. I'm this littlest dude. I'll sleep on the couch, like fully intended on that.
Right.
And we ended up getting an extra person in, which we were happy to have him, but maybe not at the Airbnb because we were really set up for that. And it was the
To
dollhouse.
be fair, D Money, young man, I won't
Yeah,
use your name because of your position right now. Nobody told us he was staying there. We
right.
found this out like way after the planning. We get this random text. By the way, Chris is staying in like a 4-star hotel. The guy, the founder of the feast is out there. Like he was essentially the officer sleeping on his pillow top mattress with room service. And we're crammed into this thing. And then he texts us and he's like, oh yeah, this guy, he's an assistant instructor. He's going to come up and help out. He's going to be staying with you too. And all of us were literally like, well,
Oh,
didn't
sure.
plan for that. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
And the dollhouse was all of about 900 square feet.
No, we're not calling it the dollhouse. When we pull this place up, because immediately we walk into this place. It looks like a casita. It's on obviously somebody else's property that had a big lot and then built this standalone house, this little 3-bedroom. But I mean, it's small. There was 1 bathroom, 3 bedrooms, but I mean, it was small. It would fit in the downstairs of my house here in Vegas. We pull the Airbnb up, and we like take our phones. We're like, Jared, it's called the Dollhouse. The room that I slept in was decked out with all pink. It was 100. There were actual dolls, like lifeless eyes, looking at me as I'm trying to go to sleep. We immediately start flaming Jared. And by the way, we're driving into the Dollhouse, and just like that Dave Chappelle
Oh
story, I
boy.
was like, Mexican food, rim shop, liquor store, gun store. Jared,
Hey, 2 cops. They've got some dude hemmed up right outside the gas station.
right outside the
It's,
gas station, we pull up and there's a felony stop going on.
oh, man, it was not great. Oh man, wait, is it okay to show this place? Like, can I
Yeah,
show it? All right,
yeah,
I
show it.
like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show this place. All right, there, because I'm not putting the address on. So
It doesn't matter. So now this looks great. This is the living room, and it really wasn't bad, man. We got together. We were all jazzed up. I sat right over. That was Jared's spot. He had his computer all set up.
in this cushion right here.
Ended up over on the
The young
floor.
man put it on the floor and slept on it. I think he had it worse than I did, for sure.
He did, but he was the youngest. That's what you
Yeah,
get.
there you go. There's another. Like, see, that looks like
Third high score on Miss Pac-Man. No big deal. I did put my initials in there.
the biggest thing is that arcade, like this room looks sizable. That arcade is one of those mini arcades.
It's mini. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like 5 feet tall.
Yeah. And me being, all of 5'4", like this couch is only about 5'4". It's only about it's probably 5'6", because I didn't look
Right.
in, but it was close. So just to give you some units of measure, like it's small.
It is one peach is big. Now,
Yeah.
this I actually had to record, like the War Room podcast was going on, so that was Friday night. Friday night every night at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and come over there and hang out with us every weekend on the War Room. I recorded, and from that corner, the back corner there. So I record. Now this looks like a pretty big area. That door opens to the outside, right? So that's not like a closet. That is actually the outside of the building. I recorded, and everybody flamed me. They're like, "Why is Aaron in a hostage video? Why? Where is Aaron at a black site? Like, what's going on?" So it was actually really funny to watch the chat comments come in, because I'm recording and I'm sitting there, on the War Room, and it was just hilarious. I just can't wait to see the room I slept in. You got to show up. The kitchen,
miniature.
Yeah, not too bad.
The one bathroom.
The one bathroom.
Four dudes, one bathroom. No, I'm sorry, five dudes.
Five dudes.
Yeah,
one bathroom.
Dudes, one bathroom. This is
my room. I walked into here and I couldn't call dibs on this room fast enough. I was like, that comforter, it looks a little bit, it's dark. It looks like a gray. Nope, that was like a deep purple. It doesn't do it any justice here. And the bedspread was actually more pink. They put the pink, like female girl like version of that comforter on there. I walked in there and I was like, I can't wait. It was a long-standing tradition in my family. When I would go on deployments, you knew you were going to sleep on a single bed, right? Whether it was in a tent, maybe you were lucky enough to get a hard billet, but most likely not. Like, I would always buy my own sheets, and I would have my daughter go with me to buy the sheets for my room, because then I would send her a picture of my deployed. So I've slept on princess sheets. Like one time I literally think I had frozen sheets that I slept on in my room. Like, guys would walk past my room. Everybody else had like their sweet sleeping bags and their REI decked out, and it looked very tactile. And you go past mine, like one time I had like a Super Mario comforter. Like my son was super into Nintendo. He was like, dude, can we do Super Mario this time? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. But I walked into this room and I was just like, this is me. This speaks to my soul. I want to go to sleep with these dead eyes looking at me.
Oh man, yeah, because there were dolls over on this side.
There were, and I was like, get this doll out of here. I literally put the dolls. I wanted to put the doll in the closet, but I wasn't sure if that would wake it up.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, I can't do that. So I just put it face down.
Yeah, it's funny that they didn't put the dolls in the picture.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to turn too many people up. And this is why it was called the Dollhouse, everybody.
Yeah. This is a about half-inch thick futon that's supposed to fold out that Taylor slept on.
It's funny that we put the mobility durability guy on the very piece of equipment that is going to cause him the most mobility and durability issues. Because that dude, we got up in the morning and went and worked out, and even going to the gym, Taylor's just like stretching, trying to get loose because his hips are trash because of that futon.
God, it's so bad. There's
Trent's room, beautiful. He got the boy room. You see,
yeah.
So if you ever wonder where the hierarchies on the podcast are, put Aaron in the doll room and put Trent in the very hyper masculine room.
I mean, he's already going backstage to Nickelback, so there you go. That gives you an idea how big that place actually is. So that
what you can't see is the owner's. Yeah,
in the back. That's
the owner's house.
That's not this house. That's not this structure. That is the owner's house in the back there. Like. Man,
that is the person that lives in an adult size house, and then they made this. And look, this is from like their house. Like that's actually the house. That door that I was talking about going to the outside is actually over here by the patio right there. That's the door. That's the entirety of the house. This guy took this picture from his driveway to make it seem like it's this huge. It's this huge like property.
I wonder what time of year too, because the grass was not like this.
No. It was bare. Well, I mean, it was winter time, right? Yeah. So we went there in, early spring before the grass had flourished. Oh, that looks like a really nice patio.
See, there's what it looked like the other house. Yep.
There's the other house.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I do have to redeem myself. Or maybe I'm just not allowed to book Airbnbs again. I don't know.
So. No, you have to do it. You're the only one. Like I don't want to make myself seem more important than I am, because I'm definitely not. But with my day job, which is pretty intense right now, I got a lot of stuff going on. Like, this will hit, you'll be like, oh, hey, I'm looking at these couple Airbnbs, I'm going to buy one. I barely even look at those texts. I'm
Yeah.
just like, thumbs up it. I'm like, Jared, just make the best decision that you can. Like, you're
Yeah.
the glue that holds this thing together. If it wasn't for you, we would just fall, because Trent never helps. Just like the group chat, like, Trent never helps with this stuff. Like, you'll ask a very serious question, we'll be like, hey, can we hop on a call? We got this thing to talk about. Jared's like, yep, I'm in. Give me 10 minutes. I'll be like, yep, I'm in. I've got a block in my schedule that I can block out here for a 20-minute call. And then Trent will just be like, you guys are gay. Like, Trent, can you get on the call or not? Are you coming? Like, what are you doing? So no, you have to keep doing it. We'll just shame you and make sure that you.
I've been shamed before. I can handle
I've been
that.
shamed before. Hilarious. Yeah, you're the glue that keeps us together. Big glue guy, Peaches.
Yeah. But to your so anyway, for everybody out there, I just had an idea while doing this, actually. And maybe I'll just talk it out right now. Hey folks, this is how we actually do things. For these operator training summits, instead of advertising it like the way that we have, or how we've had people sign up and they're like, oh, how do I pay? Do I do Zelle? Do I Venmo and stuff like that? Maybe I just put it up on our site. Like, if we can forecast the dates far enough in advance, put it up on a site, like it's like you're going to go buy a piece of merch from onesready.com, which you should go do, buy some merch, and then all that kind of stuff. But maybe have have them all programmed out, and just like they're buying an item, and then after that it gives them the link to the chat, and then they start populating it. That might be a way to do that. I don't know.
Man, if we were only better, if we didn't just do this by ourselves and have to figure this out for ourselves every single time, that would be great. Well, and even like, I don't necessarily agree with it, because it's just literally focused at poor people trying to get the most out of them they can. You can split payments up on every single app now. Like, you can buy a pizza from Pizza Hut and have it delivered and split it up into 4 payments on Klarma, which is ridiculous. Like, it's crazy. Don't do that. But I mean, there's got to be some sort of way that we could do that, so people can pay into it. But we'll figure it out, or we won't, or we'll talk about this, and then you guys will ask us about it in 6 months. We're like, oh, we forgot we even said that. That's tight.
We are
That's a
getting
good
better,
idea.
though. We are
getting better.
Like there's a couple things that we're going to add in there that we didn't do before. And a lot of times when you add something, you got to take something away, or maybe you just don't do something for as long. Like, you don't deep dive into underwater or something like that. But people wanted group running, like a running kind of thing, where we go out for a run in a small groups, and probably have Taylor Starch. He's going to get his steps in for sure. To go out there and kind of tell people how their running sucks and get better. So we're going to try that and see how that works this time. They wanted 10-ups as well. They wanted to try 10-ups or underovers or
over and unders. Yeah.
Like, they wanted to experience that, which I don't know why you would ever want to experience that. I hate those things so
I love them. I'm putting it out there right now. I will be the dummy. I will be the guy that you're like, this is how you do a push-up. This is how fast you jump on the wall. This is what you're supposed to do. I will be that guy. I never had 10-ups and over and backs. Never an issue with me. Like, for whatever reason, I was just like, it's just an underwater. I'm cool. Like, those never. You asked me to do like a doom up though. Forget it. I'm done. I'm done. Water gets in my little nose, and it's it. And so a doom up, for everybody that's not tracking. So you have the gunnel, which is the side of the pool, right? So the concrete side of the pool, and then the pool drops off into the water. What you do is you put your calves on the side of the pool. So you would be literally sitting on top of the water in a sit-up position, but you're doing so like flat on your back, and then your buddy is holding your feet to the side of the pool. Why is he holding my feet on the side of the pool? This is going to become important in a second. At the command of go, with your hands interlocked behind your head, you will do a reverse crunch. So you will do a back extension all the way back. And your goal is to put your back, your shoulder blades, onto the vertical side of the pool, which means you are completely upside down. So completely upside down, your feet are hooked on side of the gunnel like this. And this is your body against the side of the pool. So you're completely upside down, which forces all of the water into your nose. The reps go like this. They say, one's ready. You say, one, sergeant. And they say, go. You put your shoulder blades to the back of that wall, and the time does not start until each team member, because some guys will try to game it and they'll try to go down real slow, but the instructors know these tricks. So until everybody's shoulder blades are touched to the side of the wall, the time does not start. And then it's an unknown time. The instructor on the top of the pool deck will tell you up and your buddy will slap your leg. And at that point, you do a sit-up to come out of the water. So you're doing a breath hold upside down. Now let me go one step deeper. The smart instructors out there, like for people like me that were visibly not liking this event because it gets a ton of water in your nose and you just have to deal with it. There's a very little instructor trick, and it's the simplest. It's not violent. It's very small. As an instructor, once you get all the way down and I go underwater, I swim up to your little face and I just right next to your nose and I go like this. And you know what that does? It makes little waves that shove water and pool water into your sinuses and into your nose. And it is disgusting. I hate doom ups. Worst water kind of it.
They're not doing anything. They're just swimming by.
They're just swimming by an entire bunch of cones. Yeah. I'm just trying to like, you wouldn't know because I'm a combat diver at this point and you're not, right? Like sometimes you have to skull in the water. Yeah. Worst event of all time. And then, so that's from the instructor side. From the student side, let me tell you how you can be the best buddy of all time. The second that instructor opens his mouth to tell your buddy that it's time to come up, you should not be looking around. You should be staring at that instructor. And the second that his face starts to make noise after he looks at his watch, the second that he goes, you need to tap your buddy. You tap him on the leg as fast as you can to tell him that this event is over. I have seen it from an instructor. I have seen it so many times that dudes will like up and guys are like looking around. They're like up and they haven't tapped their buddy and their poor buddy is just in the depths of it, laying down there, just trying to hold his breath and getting water shoved up his nose by some evil instructor. And then you're just absolutely screwing your buddy. Blue Falcon.
It's you gotta be aggressive with it. You gotta let them know, like you gotta look out for your buddy, man.
That's teamwork, baby. Like, come on, man. So we actually had a team motto on our in-dock team, and it was "fuck your buddy and see if he quits." Like we wanted to find out who was weak, so we would purposely screw with each other's gear. Like, the gear that has to be lined up exactly correctly. Every once in a while, like I did it because usually your team leader and the officer and the NCOIC are usually the last two people to sit down. They're checking everybody's gear. They see the instructors walking in. The areas, your pool session's about to start. You do one last check, and then you rush to your seat and sit down. Every once in a while, I would just turn somebody's water bottle, and they didn't see it on the way. And then the instructor would walk down and be like, Johnson, why is your water bottle the only one that's count off by twos? And every once in a while, like we would all just start laughing because we'd be like, got him. All right, let's see who's weak. Alternate water con. But that was the unofficial motto of our in-dock team was fuck your buddy, see if they quit.
I enjoyed it whenever walking in there and they would see that water bottle that's turned and just all of a sudden it's just a wind up freaking
just all the gear.
And there's just gear everywhere and it's like, count off by twos.
Oh my God, dude. The first time I went through in-dock, there was a PJ. I could probably say his name. His first name was Marshall. Everybody knows him. But he was just one of those psychopaths. Just his face never got so you could tell him he won the lottery or his parents would die. And if I showed you a picture of his two faces, you wouldn't be able to tell which. Like absolutely crazy, just stoic. So we're sitting there and somebody messed their gear up. So he just kind of like walks in and super quiet. He just like looks around. He's like, this gear's not right. And we're all sitting at attention and it's dead quiet in the Skylark. And he just looks around. He's like, this gear's not right. So then very calmly, like there were these sliding doors on the Skylark, sliding glass doors. He just went and he opened the door and all of our rucks with all of our dry stuff was lined up outside. And for like 10 minutes, he just very calmly went out and grabbed 2 rucks at a time and would walk in, throw them in the deep end, go grab 2 more rucks, throw them in the deep end, our boots, our uniforms, everything in the deep end until he had, and there were a lot of people on team. There were like 50 people on team at this point because we were like halfway through. 50 people's gear of dry stuff was in the middle of the deep end and just garbage. And then just very calmly, he was like, all right, underwater's counted off. And he was like, have fun. And you literally had to swim like you were moving rucks out of your way. You're like, oh, look, there's my ruck. Oh, look, there are my boots. And then you'd have to touch. But we did the very first, and we did mask and snorkel with it too. He would throw it in and then you'd have to tear through gear and you'd have to find your mask and snorkel. But he never broke character. he just very calmly was like, oh, okay, cool. You guys' gear's not set up right.
These are some of the most fun instructors, though.
God, I loved him. There was another guy. Everybody has their instructor. Did you have an instructor that you screwed up in front of all the time? Was there ever that one guy that every time you did it, you just turned around and he was there?
I don't recall if there was one in particular. It always seemed like it was all of them.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's fine. It's easier. It was easier to deal with, the assholes that are just like, yeah, I say assholes, but
always yelling and always,
so
always,
okay,
yeah.
cool. But then it was the ones that are the cool, calm, collected. And then I could tell that it was just the dad disappointment. And I was like,
right.
I really am better than this.
When you go through the pipeline, you will have an instructor. I will tell you, you will have one instructor at one school. And for whatever reason, every time you screw up, you will look over and that instructor will be looking at you. Mine was Aaron Butler. Aaron Butler was an awesome PJ. He went on to be a PA, either a PA or a doctor. He's doing great stuff now. He was a godly man. He never cursed. And that's going to become important here in a second. So he never cursed. He was a super good dude. But he was one of those very calm instructors that if you ever really like ticked him, if he was ever making you do like a physical exercise, like physical punishment, you really did make it mad. But Aaron Butler was my guy going through the course that I graduated on. Every time I did something that wasn't right, or every time that I did something that it wasn't a top performance moment, I would turn and Aaron Butler would be there. And he was like a smaller guy and he would just be looking at me. He'd be like, come on, man. And I would just be like, oh, God. So we're doing, I got really good at ditch and don. I could do ditch and don in like 10 seconds. And it used to make the instructors just livid because like we'd be treading. They'd say, go ditch your equipment. I would go down. I'd hit my butt, fin, mask, weight belt, done. I'd turn around and make sure it was good. I'd come up. It would literally be like 11 seconds. And the first couple of times I did it, the pool deck instructor was like, I guarantee that's not right. And the instructor would go down and check. We're like, nah, he's good. It was just something that I had the system down. I practiced it and then poof, I could do it and I could do it really quickly. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like make me tread whatever. I know I only have to do a 10-second breath hold. Immediately get down to the bottom of the pool, put your gear down, come back up. It's not that hard. Yeah. So I do this and I beat, for whatever reason, I just hit a walk-off home run. It was the one good, ditch and don that I had that week. It was like 8 seconds. Went down, put stuff down, came up, and then was just chilling. And everybody else is at the bottom of the pool and some people popped and Aaron Butler's running the pool deck. And he was like, you got to go down and do it again. He's like, go down and don your stuff. He's like, you're not taking enough time down there. So I went down, I donned it, I came up. They did my equipment check. By the way, like half of the people aren't even up from their ditch yet, right? Like some people are still working and getting up and getting their checks from instructor. Yeah, so I get up and I was fine. So then I'm treading and he was like, you know what? He's like, you're going to quit on this one. I was like, why would I quit? I literally just looked at it. I was like, why would I quit? I was like, you're silly. You're the silliest goose.
Silly goose.
So he's like, okay, go ditch it. So I go back down and I ditch it and I come back up and totally fine. And he was like, I'm telling you, this is it. You're going to quit. So the instructor goes and checks my gear. Everybody else is treading. And he goes, okay, love, you and only you. Go ahead and go down and don your equipment. So I go down. Well, the instructor, when he checked my stuff, he put a twist in my weight belt. So like when you put the weight belt on, it can't be twisted. It has to be flat against your back. So I go through my normal process. I hook my weight belt up and I was literally just about to ascend. And I was like, wait a second. And I could feel something was wrong. And I traced my straps and I was like, oh no, it's a full twist. So then I took it off and then I redid it. And I was down there for a while because I had to basically start the process and then I was floating and I had figured out. So it did take me a while. I wasn't that stressed, but I was stressed. So I come back up and I give him the okay, sergeant. And in my place, because what you do is when you pass, they have you sit out on the wall. So in the place that I was supposed to sit, he had put the horn for me. And I came up, the instructor came over and checked me out and gave me the thumbs up, like that I had fixed the issue. And I looked right at Aaron Butler in his eyes. I was like, you can get that horn the fuck out of my seat. I should not have done that. No. Because I proceeded to knock out 400 8 counts on the side of the pool. And then when I was done with my 8 counts for the rest of that pool session, I had to duck walk around the pool and I was not allowed to stop. And Aaron, he comes over to me at one point and he was like, hey man, I like the motivation. Don't ever curse at me ever again. And I was like, yeah, roger that. Sorry. I was like, I got motivated.
You just
But
need
he
a
was that
little.
one instructor, man. That one instructor for me at Indog. Like I would do something that was wrong. Like we were doing an event, I would do something that was wrong, and I could feel an instructor. And in my head, I was like, I just knew. I was like, don't be Sergeant Butler. And I turned around and it'd be him, and I was just, damn it.
Yep.
Also,
Oh,
I loved being that instructor. There were students with me that I knew they were living in that space. Like when I would evaluate them, like they would have great evaluations. And then I'd be like, hey, I'm evaluating on this event. And some of them, just for a second in their eye, I could see it. And I knew they were like, not Love, not Sergeant Love.
wow.
Why? Yeah. And hey, and to all those students that had that feeling about me, I would just like to apologize to absolutely fucking none of you. You
Yeah.
deserved it. I'm glad that you had that anxiety. I hope it made you a better person. If I failed you out, go back.
I
I'm
hope
not
it
there
still
anymore.
sticks with you.
I
I hope
hope
you
you,
still have anxiety.
because I don't think about you at all. I'll be, that's another funny thing it's just a story. So we had Donnie, and Donnie was a great, awesome guest on the podcast. He's got a crazy story. We're going to drop it soon. Navy SEAL. He was a Navy SEAL officer, resigned his commission to go PJ after spending like 2 straight years in the Middle East. He was one of only, like, he thinks 2 SEALs that could speak Arabic, because he basically trained in Arabic through VMI. So he was one of only 2. He served with Jocko's platoon. There's like a whole like period of SEALs, because he spent so much time in, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Yemen. He spent so much time there that like an entire generation of SEALs, like he knows intimately well. Like he was literally on Jocko's troop when they were in Ramadi. So crazy story. But it was funny because the night before, Donnie, I was talking, my friend Lucas was in town. We had dinner. It was great. But he's like, oh man, I bet that guy hates me. I'm like, why do you say that? Did you know him after the pipeline or whatever? He's like, no, man, he was just always riding me during the pipeline or whatever. And I was like, Donnie, let me give you a little insight to the instructors. That guy did not think about you literally the second that he was done talking to you. I was like, I would, I've had students come back to me years later. Somebody pulled me aside at your retirement. It was like, hey man, you were my instructor. You failed me for this thing. And I remember that talk that you gave me. And I knew it was like intense, but like it turned like it was what I needed at the time and whatever else. And I looked at the guy and I was like, Eric, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I don't remember you at all from the schoolhouse. Like you have this crystallizing moment where you think I was like yelling at you and I was super like emotionally invested in it. I was probably I said that to every single 6 foot tall, 200-pound white boy with tattoos, of which there are thousands. Like you are a faceless student to me. I was like, those things that I said, that was a script, bro. I used to say the same thing to every single student. So I was just laughing like, you build these instructors up in your head and you like assume this relationship you have, like, oh, this guy, he probably hates me or he doesn't think I'm good enough. That guy doesn't think about you. It's like the John Hamm meme, in the elevator.
Oh,
I don't think about you at all. Like, oh, I feel so sorry for you, instructor. I bet it is you hate me and you think about me at night. And then it's like the instructor's like, I don't think about you at all. Because we don't.
nah, I'm good.
Nah.
I'm good.
You think I go home and involve you in my personal life? I don't want to talk to you at my work life. Okay, bud? Like I don't tell stories about I never went home and was like, oh man, this guy, he's just not getting it and I really want him to. I would go home like
Oh, gotta mow the lawn. Oh, look at
yeah.
that.
Oh wow, look, I got a dog. That's tight.
Well, if you are interested in joining us in San Diego or follow on operator training summits, let us know. Comment, shoot us an email, DM us
DM
if
us.
you're on
Hit us.
Instagram. I know not all of you are on Instagram, which is fine, but if you comment, we'll reach out to you and get something figured out, and then maybe I'll explore getting something on the website, something like that, just to make it even easier as we continue to improve. So I know that we're a little late in this, but Drink Hoist, shout
Oh
out to
yeah.
Hoist. One, for not
Dude.
only providing stuff at the operator training summit, like they
Yeah.
send out a bunch of stuff for all the candidates, but at the same time, like I came home the other day from work and I just got boxes outside on the doorstep, and it was like, oh. So drinkhoist.com, promo code one's ready, but you don't have to do it online if you don't want to. You can go to HEB, Safeway, Kroger, commissary, any of your grocery stores. They've got them in gas stations now too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I love seeing a hoist out in the wild.
yeah,
And we still haven't had anybody do a video of this. Our discount code won't work if you go to like the shopette. But when you're ringing out, if you have your hoist and you give it to her and you go, one's ready at checkout, Maybe she'll give you 10% off.
Maybe. Or she'll
Maybe.
just be like, hey, I'm going to call the cops. You do that again?
I'm gonna call the sir. I'm calling the police.
Like, you are out of line. So, anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a comment. We appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, y'all.
Light up.